I I'm getting ready to do a little segment here soon. If you bear with me, I just want to make sure I'm live and there's somebody around. Am I live? Am I live? Anybody there? Am I live? Am I live? How about Facebook people? Do you see me at all? It's good here. Oh, great. Okay, give me a minute or two to let people figure out I'm around, because I really didn't give any extra notice that I'm doing this. So I want to make sure that it's been a long and nice holiday. Sort of. I was downtown Washington, D.C. Actually, I have an apartment down there that I use, and it's great. And I put it on Airbnb. We make a bunch of dough too on that. Oh, good morning, Andre. Oh, thanks for coming in. I got some good stuff, I hope, this morning to share with you all. And I just want to make sure anybody on YouTube there. Don't see folks on that yet. Great, Audrey. Morning, Samuel. Morning, boy. People are getting up early doing this thing. That's great. God, I hate to do it twice if my YouTube isn't working, is it? Nobody could tell me, I guess. There's not a way to do that. I can't tell if YouTube's there. This ain't early. Yeah, you're right. I get up real early. I love running early and getting up. Actually, I haven't even exercised. I had so many things I wanted to get done this morning, so I started working at 6 or something like that, and then I'll do the running part later. But gosh, I can't really tell if that is it's going, it's not early, right? God, yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock here, or 11, or I don't know, I guess 10. Well, that's early sometimes, whatever. But where, I don't know if my YouTube is gone. Boy, I can't tell. I put anybody there on YouTube? Actually, I have 2 cameras here. It's sort of like a press conference, you know. But I can't tell if YouTube is there. Well, I tell you what. Let's just undo it, and if somebody shows up, well, they'll be sorry for being late, won't they? But actually, what I've been doing recently is helping people on my talk service, you know, and it's just I'm learning so much. I mean, I'm learning so much for people's problems, because we all sit in our own little world, you know. And we think about, oh, you know, if we just study this and whatever, we figure out how to make money or solve problems or get ahead in life, and no, it really comes from the outside. You know, not so much from the inside, and that's what's neat. And I see that most of us, what we do is we wind up what you know, I'm helping people really with, what do you do when everything you thought was good to make money doesn't work? And I think that's what happens to most of us at some time or other. We hit a roadblock. Man, everybody, you know, thinks this is going to work, and it doesn't. And you try it, and you spend money on this stuff, and it doesn't work. And you're trying a million things, sometimes in a lifetime, you know, going through all these things that you think you're going to make a lot of money, and it really doesn't. And so then what do? And that's what I've been able to help people out because I've been studying like things to do in life and how to get over the normal hurdles, you know. And they're going to come up all the time. And I've sort of thought of things, nobody knows exactly what to do. I mean, the answer isn't perfect on what to do. But I think there are like 3 things you should never do if things are not working out. What it is learn what not to do, not what to do, because that is so, you know, you have to think unusual to make things happen nowadays. And how do you do that? And we'll get into that too. How to think differently than everybody else, because I think that's the only way things are going to work nowadays, because, you know, the normal things aren't working anymore. So, but before you figure out a different way to do it, you have to figure out what you should not do, because that's banging your head on the wall. And there's 3 things I think you have to work. One is don't spend money doing it. So if you're looking for new things to do, man, sure, there's a billion things, and they're all going to cost money, right? Because they're the ones you're going to find out about. They're the ones you know about, because they're the ones that are advertised. They're the ones that everybody's promoting, and they all cost money. So the people are promoting it want your money. So, but you can't do that anymore. If everything you're doing, you know, it doesn't work out to that of the big financial payoff you're working. Well, you have to learn how to do things without spending money. And there's ways to do that. There's lots of ways to do that. They're just not traditional. They're non-traditional ways to get that. So you can do that. The other thing you can't do is doing the same thing you've been doing. So when I think of that too, I always think of the first time I went down to Mexico. This is probably about 40 years ago or something like that. And I remember the tourists there trying to talk in English to some Mexican native who all they spoke was Spanish, and they just thought that if they just yell English louder, they would understand. Where is the restaurant? You know, they just yell. They didn't understand. Where is the restaurant? So that's what we do. Yeah, is think that if we do the same thing harder, you know, like banging your head against the wall, it's not working, but we're gonna do it harder, and it's gonna change. So that's the second thing you shouldn't do. It's the same goddamn thing you've been doing before. You can't do that anymore. You know, we can't give it up, because the reason I think we can't give it up, because we can't think of anything else to do. We don't know the options. We don't know the alternatives, you know, that aren't like what we're doing, because everybody else is doing that. So we think that that's the only way to get ahead, and not. And then the other thing we should not do is do things the way the rich people do it. You know, oh, they're rich, so that must be the way to do it. No, you're not rich, so you can't do it that way. Yeah. And that's the thing to do. You know, remember, those 3 things. Okay, don't spend any money. Stop doing the things you keep doing and don't work. And don't act like rich people when you're not rich. And that's what I think life is all about now, is trying to figure out, okay, how can you make it now to do what you want to do in life, to improve your life, to do things differently, with not in the traditional ways. You have to think of different ways to do it. And that's when I see that, you know, when people call me up for advice and on that service, I'm surprised of what I know alternative ways to do things. How you could advertise on the internet with no money. That's right, there's ways to do that. There's lots of ways to do it. You don't have to. But see, we get caught. We get caught by salesmen. We're going to go and advertise on the internet because we have this little idea or the dream or whatever. And we think, oh, I'm trying to read the notes maybe. The most comfortable. Dream or whatever, and we run into a salesman, you know, or someone selling you something, because what everybody who has a product or service or whatever is sitting there 24 hours a day trying to think of what you think your problem is. And if they could, you know, articulate what they think your problem is, then you're going to buy their stuff. Or you're going to vote for them, right? So if they can articulate your problem, then they get your money, right? So you can't advertise, you can't make sales. Hey, well, here's a website that you'll have sales coming out of your ears, and all you have to do is give me a bunch of money, And that's crazy, but we fall for it all the time. I still do. It's human nature, And see, you can't, you can't compete with salesmen. It's an unfair fight. So don't try to outsmart a salesman. They think about it all the time. You're thinking about it once, that's all, and that's it. They're thinking about it 24 hours a day, probably the rest of their life if they're staying in business. So it's an unfair fight. You can't deal with that. So don't try to fight with a salesman. Just forget it. Don't buy anything. That's the easiest way. Sure, maybe there's little gems that really work out, but you don't have enough money to figure all that out. And so there's other ways to do it. You work with somebody, like I was talking to a guy who wanted to have a hair salon on wheels, whatever. They come to you, so like an Uber for a hair salon, and he called up and I said, well, how about doing this? How about if you work with a dry cleaner? Like you find somebody else who's doing that, and then you say, hey, as you're dropping off, it's a high-end dry cleaner who's dropping off dry cleaning. So, hey, would you like somebody to come and do your hair? And you share the money with that people. Man, that's how I made money. Man, I was doing it like advertising, like everybody said, and I go out and buy advertising, and all I did was waste money, tell you the truth. Of people who told me, this is how much it costs, this is how much it costs. Yeah, because it's worth it for them, but what is it worth to you? You don't know, so you can't give anybody money because you don't know what their service is worth. You have no idea. Once you learn your business well enough and know what it's worth, then you could buy money. But in the beginning, you should never do that. You learn by doing free stuff, whether it's a free video like I do on here, or working with somebody else. Like I was helping this little a bakery down, I think it was Tulsa or somewhere like that. And they were, struggling or whatever. And I said, well, heck, okay, why don't you not spend money in advertisements in the paper, whatever, but you hook up with like maybe a nursing home or something like that. And you do a crowdfunding or hook up with a nonprofit organization that is going to give beautiful birthday cakes to everybody in the nursing home on their birthday. See, now you could go out to the media and advertise, that this bakery now is going to provide free birthday cakes which could be their last birthday. Now, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing to do for nursing homes? Yeah, man, that's a way to get millions of dollars of free publicity because you thought about giving free birthday cakes. And so what you do is you hook up with somebody else who's already a nonprofit. Don't become a nonprofit if you don't know where you're going to get money yet from. You work with somebody else nonprofit, give them a little bit of it. You raise money to give birthday cakes cooked by your bakery to the people in the nursing home on what could be their last birthday, right? Now, wouldn't that be terrific? That's a great idea. So there's always more than one way to solve a problem. That's what's neat. And that's what you have to think of, I think, to survive. Not the same way anymore. There's other ways. Sure, maybe it's not as, prestigious or whatever, like so many people want to, I want to go to this big university or whatever, and that's I understand that, and a lot of people do, and if you want a job in the traditional system, but if you want to just learn how to do what they're supposed to teach you, and not just meet somebody who's going to give you a job, there's other ways to do it. There's free universities, really, tell you the truth. For $60 you can learn all that same thing as a 4-year degree in IT or whatever it is, and that's it. But you have the knowledge. That's what is the skill. And I think the old stuff isn't working anymore anyways, so we really have to get our skills. Or now your state has training money. money. For 6 months or whatever, they send you and train you for something, and you get a better job. So going to, somewhere, how do I get a job? You got to get contact to somebody who promises you all this. Give me $10,000 and I'll swear you get a good job. Honest. And they don't. Or even those for-profit universities, man, they become your friend, they say how easy it is, but no, there's ways to do that, a lot better and a lot cheaper, whatever. So it's all finding out, because I think what we have to find in ourselves is a job, a career, or whatever that's going to be rewarding for us. Why do you want something rewarding? Because you can give more. If you're doing something you don't like, you don't want to give. You want to go and sit on the beach. But if you find something you really want to do, man, you can give so much more. And that's the important part of life, is being able to give. And how do you find that? Well, it's not easy. It's a trial and error method. That's what it all is about, is trial and error. But you have to know your options. If you're only looking at 2 things to do, man, that's crazy. You can't, I only do this, or I only try to get to Harvard or whatever, or take a 4-year degree and cost me $50,000 a year, whatever. No, there's options for that. They may not impress your friends right now, but they're going to impress your heart. This is what you have to give. And that's, to me, what for the rest of your life, I mean, even at my age, man, I can use my heart more now than ever, and I could still keep growing this forever. I can't run as fast anymore. Maybe I can't hit a baseball or a golf ball this far anymore, but man, I can love harder. And that's what it's about. And then that way, why you find something that you really want to do, you can. I mean, now you could start a business for 20 cents. When I was growing up, that cost $500,000 in today's terms, but no, now it's 20 cents. It's a different ball game. I mean, the people that are running the country now that don't hire people. Things like Uber and Airbnb, they're worth more than, Fortune 500 companies, and they have literally almost no employees. But millions of people are making money from them without being an employee, and living more flexible and all that kind of stuff, and having control of. Sure, you're not a gazillionaire. Nobody could promise you you'd be a gazillionaire. And if you're trying to do that, I mean, that's fine, but boy, I mean, to me, that means you're going to wind up doing something that somebody else thinks is important, or not important, but just going to make you a lot of money, buddy. And nobody really knows that ahead of time. If they did, they'd be doing it themselves. And what it to me is that, how do you find a fulfilling life and make money doing it? Okay, feed yourself, feed your family, have a fulfilling life. That's the important thing. You're a gazillionaire, man, put that aside. Because see, that to me is a false goal in a way, because once you get there, then what the hell are you going to do? Man, to me, life is doing something every day that you think is important, every day that you like. And so if you find something that you think is important to do, then you can get up and do it, whether you're successful or not. But it's making you a living, fulfilling your family, needs and things like that. That's the important thing, because you have something important to do, and that's the satisfaction in life. Why wait for some big paycheck 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, which may or may not happen? Life is too insecure. If you're getting up and at least doing exactly what you want right now, man, you're winning already. You don't have to wait for 5 or 10 years. That's what's so great about it. Because who knows if that's going to happen or not. And now you have to be clever enough about how to do it, and think of different ways, to do these kinds of things. And that's what I hope I could help, with something like that. If something in my talk service, lesko.com/talk, in 20 minutes, I mean, I'm just showing people options that they never know about, because I study these options every day, whether it's how to get $10,000 of free advertising on the internet, or free legal advice, or free accounting help, or free travel money. I mean, all these things are there. Sure, it takes effort, but everything does. Oh, I said, oh, my wife said, I said, you'll run out of money before you find the answer, right? Okay, thank you. Leave me notes here if you have any questions or comments. I'll be around, try to answer you. And if you want a free download, I have the lesko.com/free that gives you the 5 best places that I use all the time when I do research for clients. These are my 5 best places that I use that you can use. I teach you how to do them. I got videos on this, how to use the 5 best sources for getting free help and money for anything. So that's lesko.com/free. So you can do what I do too. You can even charge money too.